Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today we will be wrapping up my series goal for 2023. If you guys have been following my channel this year, I have had a goal this year to finish as many series as I have started. And so today we are going to check in, see if I've met that goal for the year, and yeah, talk about some series. I did do a mid-year series check-in, however, some of the stats on that video were not accurate. I still have no idea what I did, but I definitely fat-fingered some stats there. So we're going to correct that today. We're going to go through the stats of all of the series that I've read this year and talk about some of my favorites. So we are going to start with the series that I started in 2023. So I have split these into 4 different categories. I have a completed category, I have a DNF category. So completed means I've started them in 2023 and completed them in 2023. DNF, I did not finish them and don't plan on it. And then I have an ongoing category and an awaiting new releases category. So ongoing and awaited new releases are both series that I am continuing with, but ongoing means that there are currently other books in the series that are published that I just haven't gotten to yet, whereas awaiting new releases means that I am either completely caught up with the series and am just awaiting for the next release, or they are brand new series that only have 1 book published and I'm waiting for the second one to be published. So you can see that I have DNF'd 2 series. The 2 DNFs that I have that I started this year were Never After, I think is the first one's title. The first book in that series was called Hooked. I read the first 2 books in the series and then just realized it wasn't for me. And then the second series that I DNF'd was, I can't remember the series name, but the first book was called The Helm of Midnight. I read the first book, gave it 4 stars, read the second book, and I think I DNF'd at like 20%. The series just went into a direction that I didn't love, and so I decided not to continue with this as well. There are 5 series that I have completed. So there are 5 series that I started this year and completed this year, which I am super impressed. Yay me. And I'll tell you guys about the ones that I've completed at the very end of the video after all the stats. There are 7 books that are ongoing that 7 series that are ongoing that I started this year, and then 12 that I'm awaiting new releases. Some of the 12 are books that only have 1 out, but there are a few that I've read a couple of books in the series, and then we're still just waiting for another book to come out. Out of the 7 that are ongoing here, I have made progress with 2 of those series this year. So I haven't gotten completed or I haven't gotten caught up with those, but I have read more than 1 book this year of those series, if that makes sense. The next graphic I'll show you guys is for the series that I pulled in from 2022. So these aren't series that I necessarily started in 2022, but they are series that I was reading in 2022 and did not complete them. So there were 20 of these, and I have the same 4 categories and then plus a rereads category. I don't want to penalize myself for rereading series that I've loved, and so I just separated that so it wasn't involved in any other statistics. So you can see that as far as DNFs go, there was 1 series that I decided to DNF. This was a manga series, unfortunately. This was The Girl from the Other Side. I really enjoyed the first 3 or 4 volumes. I think by the time I got to the 5th volume, I just kind of lost interest. So this isn't something that I don't think I will ever read, but it's not a priority in the next year. And so I'm just gonna wait and see if, it calls to my heart again, and if not, that's fine. There are 8 series that I pulled over from 2022 that I completed this year, and so I am super stoked about that number. And then there are 8 that I am ongoing with. Of those 8, let me check that stat. Of those 8, 7 of the 8 that I'm still ongoing, I have made progress with this year. I just haven't completed them, or I haven't gotten caught up with them either. And then there are 2 that I'm awaiting new releases, and then 1 that I am rereading. I'm still doing my Mistborn reread, and so that is the reread. The 2 that I'm awaiting on new releases, I think they were released at the very end of 2022, or not released, but like the books that I read were released at the very end of 2022, and so that's why we are still awaiting some new releases. Next graphic is The series I plan on continuing into 2024. So now we've talked about all of the series that I've completed and the DNFs and everything. So now this is really just a graphic to show you guys, you know, whenever I do my goals at the very beginning of the year, I want to know where I'm starting. And I do think that this might change slightly. There is one series that I might be able to finish in December, and that is The Rook and the Rose. I'm currently reading Labyrinth's Heart, which is the third. So if I finish that by December, or the end of December, then I can say that I will have one less series that I'm pulling into 2024. But as the time goes, currently I will be pulling 29 series into 2024. I have 15 of those are ongoing, 1 reread, and 13 of those that I am waiting for the next release. And a lot of the 13 do have new releases that are coming out in 2024. So I am excited. Now, let us talk about whether or not I have met my goal. Because the answer to that question is no. If you haven't already been able to tell from the graphics, so actually I can move over since I don't have any more graphics. So I started 2023 with 20 series. I am going into 2024 with 29 series. So I definitely did not complete as many as I finished. I completed a total of 14, I think. Let me make sure that that number is correct. 13. I completed 13 books and then DNF'd 3. Why is that number not adding up? I pulled 20 series into 2022 or 2023, and I have completed 13 different series. I have DNF'd 4, and so that means I'm pulling 9 extras into 2024, so that brings us to that 29 number. So I have 29 series that I will be continuing with in 2024, and yeah, you guys will have to wait and see what my goal is for next year as far as series go. I definitely want to keep pushing myself to complete series. I am not mad whatsoever about completing 13 series. I think that that's excellent. Do I wish I would have been able to meet it? Yes. I probably should have been a little bit more intentional. I know that with the first half of the year, whenever I thought that I had met the goal, I think I got a little haywire after July in pulling in new series because I thought that I had caught up with my series goal, and turns out that I didn't. So I kind of sabotaged myself, but that's okay. So now on to the series that I have completed this year. I talked about 3 of these in my last check-in video, and so I'm not going to talk through those in length. And really, I'm not going to talk about any of these in length. I'll give you guys just a very, very brief synopsis, and then I want to talk about my top 4 series for the year. So the 3 that I talked about in my last video were Bladesmith, Farseer Trilogy, and the Drowned Empire, which is Bone Shard Daughter is the very first book. So I talked about those 3 series in the previous video, and I will link that in the cards and in the description for you guys. The other series that I have completed this year are All of Us Villains, which is Hunger Games meets dark YA. You follow a whole bunch of kids who are raised in a town where the magic is ruled by the family who wins this tournament every year. They have to submit one of their family members, and it is to the death. And it wasn't my favorite. The next, I finished the Founders Trilogy, which the first book was Foundry Side. The first book was excellent, gave it 5 stars. The other 2 I gave 4 stars, but still an outstanding series. You follow Sanjia, who is a thief, and she is a thief that has a power to kind of see what's around her, I'll say. So if she puts her hand against the floor of a building, she can see kind of the entire layout of how the building is. So like the floor plan, essentially. And she gets hired to steal a very important artifact and gets herself into a little bit of a pickle. The world gets very, very massive very quickly. It's a very fun series. Chorus of Dragons is the next series that I completed. I don't even know how to describe this. It's a 5-book series, and you follow a whole bunch of a large cast of characters. You do have multiple POVs. The first book you follow Kieran, and you know at the very beginning of the book that he is the one responsible for burning down a city, and he is in jail, and you are following him telling his story of how he ended up here. It's so much bigger than that. There are dragons, there are gods and demons involved, and it's haywire, but it's so much fun. Next is the Athena Club. So the Athena Club is a mystery series that brings in a whole bunch of female characters from classic fiction books. So the daughter of Frankenstein, the daughter of Dr. Moreau, these characters that we have seen in books but have never had their own limelight. And it brings these lovely ladies together to solve some mysteries and some murders. It's such a fun series. It was very heartwarming, very much found family. Absolutely loved it. Next is the First Law trilogy, which is the 3 books that are up here, that red, blue, and yellow book. You follow a cast of characters in this trilogy. There's not a ton of plot, but the characters are amazing. You are in a kingdom where there are wars happening. There is, I'll tell you about 3 of the characters that you follow. So you follow Logan Ninefingers, who is kind of a barbarian that is feared in the north, and he kind of wants to get out of the fear gang. Like, he doesn't want to be who he used to be. He kind of wants to just be by himself for a little bit. And then you follow Glokta, who is a torturer, who you kind of get to be in his head and figure out whether or not he enjoys his job or not, and why he's made the decision to do it. You also follow Giselle, who is kind of a pretty boy. He's very spoiled, and they all come together in a very vast storyline with this kingdom with some larger things at play. The next series is Mickey 7. So this series follows a regenerated human that has essentially, they were down on their luck and they signed themselves up for this program where their mental capacities get downloaded into a computer and their bodies essentially get regenerated when they die. Their purpose on the ship is literally suicide mission. So if the ship knows that this mission that we're going off onto is going to cost human life, they get sent in the place of the rest of the humans on the ship because they can be regenerated. Each generation is named after the original, just with a number at the end. So Mickey 7 has died 7 times. And you get to follow Mickey in a situation where he was supposed to die, doesn't, comes back, and in the ship is Mickey 8, and he has to figure out how to live with himself being regenerated. Next is the Broken Earth trilogy. I buddy read this entire series with Leandra. This is an N.K. Jemisin book. You follow, I've described this book so many times on my channel, so I'm sure that you guys are rolling your eyes. You follow 3 characters in the first book that are all women of different ages. So you follow a young girl, a young adult, and then a middle-aged woman. And all of these characters are living in a dystopian world where these apocalyptic things continue to happen, and they are all origins who are humans that have a specific power and are feared by other humans. And so you live in all of their minds and are trying to figure out how they are living in this dystopian society and how them being origins at their specific stages in life have affected them. Next is the Sisters of Salt. So this was the series House of Salt and Sorrows is the first book. You follow a family that has 12 daughters where 3 of them have died off in succession. And so a lot of people think that the family is cursed. You follow one of the daughters' perspectives while she tries to figure out what's happening with her sisters. The last series that I completed this year is called the Rhaenyra Revelations, which I absolutely loved. It was absolutely fantastic, which follows Royce and Hadrian, who are 2 kind of gruff men who are in the Rhaenyra, which I will not explain what that is, but they are in a larger world, and you get to hear their backstories, you get to hear about the kingdom, what's happening within the kingdom, and they get asked to steal something, and that something ends up getting them into a lot of trouble and ends up intermingling them with some very deep things within the kingdom, and yeah, they have to go on a quest. Out of all of the series that I've completed this year, any of the books that I read, the progression of the series that I didn't complete, the average rating for all of those books came to a 4.1. So I am enjoying the series, most of the series that I am picking up. So I am happy with that. And I mean, I am a series girly. I will continue to be. So yes, this will continue in the new year. On to the finale. I want to talk to you guys about the top 4 series that I completed this year. So this does not include any of the books that are ongoing or any of the series that are ongoing, just the ones that I completed this year and that I mentioned in this video. So coming in at number 4 is the Athena Club. Absolutely love this. Love the found family elements, and I also just loved the women in this. This series also has a really cool component where they are writing these books and you are hearing their progress and their discussions as they are writing down the events that have happened to them. And that just adds to the found family because you get to actually see them interact while they are talking about events that happened in their lives. I absolutely love this series. Coming in at number 3 is Broken Earth. I think that the first book in this series is probably still, to this day, the most well-plotted book that I have read ever. I think that it was tied together so well, and N.K. Jemisin has a way of answering questions at the perfect time throughout her books. I think that the second and the third books, I do think that crumbles a little bit. It's still amazing, but I definitely was absolutely wowed by the first books, everything wrapping up really nicely. I really also enjoyed the characters in this book and the story that this book tells, these women that you get to be in their perspectives and the people that they come across in this really desolate world. It was just fascinating, and I mean, there was never a dull minute. Number 2 is the Farseer trilogy. I did talk about this in the other video. So I talked about my top 3 series from the first half of the year, and this was one of them, and it stayed in the top list. The first book of this series is The Assassin's Apprentice, and you follow a character named Fitz and his life. He is the bastard son of a king who gets dropped off on a stable master's door and essentially is told, you take care of him, he's not my problem anymore. And he gets dropped into the political dynamics of a kingdom that he didn't really know that he was a part of, and we essentially follow his life. Now, this is just the first trilogy. There is so many more Fitz trilogies that I need to get to. This is just the first one. But you get to follow his life and his decisions and what being loyal to his kingdom has meant for him and some of the things that has given him in his life, but also taken away. The number 1 series I will say that I completed this year is the Rhaenyra Revelations. I absolutely love this. I actually went out and purchased, so I already had the Theft of Swords I got from a half-price bookstore, but I purchased the other 2 because I could not find them, and I want to reread this. I actually just found out that there is a sister series called the Rhaenyra Chronicles that I am definitely reading in 2024. I'm so excited. I don't know if it continues with Royce and Hadrian or if we continue with another sect of Rhaenyra. I'm not sure, but I don't care. I want to be back in this world. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I want to reread this series, and I plan on annotating my copies. I don't know when I'm planning on doing that because this is a massive series and I have so many other series that I want to get to, but I can't wait to be back with Royce and Hadrian, especially now that I know how all of it wraps up. I want to start back at the beginning so I can start piecing things together and see all the breadcrumbs that I missed. So that is my series wrap up for 2023. I know I didn't meet my goal, but I am still proud of my progress. And I will definitely make another goal pertaining to series next year. You'll have to wait for my beginning of the year content to see that. Did you guys have any goals pertaining to series this year? Did you have a favorite series of this year? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to chat with you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.